This right here is my Ibanez RG550 Genesis. I bought it about 4 months ago, mostly for reasons of nostalgia, and since then, I've been playing it a whole lot more than I expected to. So let me tell you why I absolutely love this thing. I tend to favor the classic designs of Fender and Gibson, you know, Strats, SGs, Les Pauls, Explorers, etc. But for some reason, I've been a fan of this guitar's brilliant design and spectacular aesthetics ever since Ibanez released the first RG550 as a more affordable and tamed-down version of the Steve Vai signature Gem back in 1987. The body shape is essentially the same as the Gem, minus the monkey grip, the extended tremolo cavity, and the scalloped upper frets. It also has standard dot fret markers instead of the pyramid-style markers of the original Gem. These differences helped cut production costs, but they also made the RG550 feel a little more personal, as it didn't scream Steve Vai like the Gem did. Either way, these guitars are absolutely stunning. The unique body shape seamlessly combines curves and points, and in a way, I think it gives it a timeless appeal. I also love the combination of purple and black, and the purple neon finish of this guitar is just incredible. I often catch myself admiring it when I'm practicing, and that's a really cool thing when you can still get that kind of feeling from an instrument. Now this one here is not one of the originals. This is the reissue model known as the RG550 Genesis, which Ibanez launched in 2017. It's pretty much identical to the original except for two things. One is that the new necks are 5-piece maple and walnut instead of just a 1-piece maple neck. And the other is that the bridge and neck pickups are a little bit different. Now they're not really differences most people would even notice, so essentially this is like having a brand new guitar from 1987. But it's not all about looks. Let's talk about how this guitar feels. First of all, the fit and finish are exceptional, which is not surprising since these are made in Japan. I don't normally like to generalize, but it has been my experience that the quality control in Japanese factories tends to be very high level. The ultra-thin Super Wizard neck and 17-inch radius is something I didn't think I would like. And honestly, That's kind of the main reason I never owned one of these guitars until I decided to buy this one last year. And I can't believe just how wrong I was. This thing feels fantastic. Whether it's chords or single note runs, bends, whatever it is you're playing, it feels naturally comfortable. I never liked the term fast neck because I don't see how the thickness of the neck changes how fast you can play. Maybe if you have really small hands, but I don't have particularly large hands and I don't feel like I'm playing any slower on the chunky neck of my standard 50s Les Paul. However, I will say that a neck like this one requires less tension for certain things, so it can reduce fatigue and make playing stuff that is perhaps more technically challenging a little more comfortable, especially for longer practice sessions or performances. Now, like I said earlier, the original RG550s had a one-piece maple neck, but the Genesis model has a five-piece maple and walnut neck. Now, apparently this is an improvement because a five-piece neck should be more stable and less likely to warp. And if that's the case, then that's really cool. When I'm playing, I can't tell the difference between a one-piece, three-piece, or five-piece neck. And never in my life have I picked up a guitar and said, oh yeah, five-piece neck, definitely. I'm not saying there is or there isn't a difference, I'm just saying I can't tell. So I'm not gonna talk about stuff about which I have no real knowledge. But if any of you guys watching do have first-hand experience with this stuff and can offer some insights, I'd love to read about it in the comments because I always appreciate it when I can learn something new. And I'm sure others watching do as well. The jumbo frets are also very smooth without any sharp edges, rough spots, or dead spots. Now, they're not stainless steel, and I know there's a lot of talk about stainless steel frets these days, which is definitely a nice feature, but personally, I just never cared about that at all, and I can only say these nickel frets feel perfectly fine to me. The neck joint is the cutaway heel type like the original model, so it's not the more modern all-access joint, but it's still an upgraded design compared to a standard Fender heel, which makes upper fret access easy and comfortable. Of course, a guitar like this needs a trem system that allows you to go crazy on the bar with dive bombs and flutters and still remain in tune. And Ibanez very much got it right with their Edge system. It's basically like a Floyd Rose, but with some nice improvements on the original design, like locking studs, saddles that are slightly more rounded, and the fine tuners are positioned so it's a little more stable and it feels more comfortable on the right hand, especially when you're palm muting. It also has a pop-in bar, which is a really nice feature. But if you like your trem arm to stay put where you last positioned it and not flopping around all over the place, you'll have to replace the bushings periodically because they tend to wear out and then you get a bar that just flops. The original Genesis had V1 and V2 pickups, while these new ones have the V7 and V8. Now these still sound just fine, but I have an original V2 in my 1981 Destroyer, and it's probably my favorite pickup for metal. It's like a DiMarzio Super Distortion, but a little brighter and clearer. But again, the V8 bridge pickup sounds just fine, and you can always get that extra punch by adding a little preamp gain and boosting the high mids a little. That's why I'm not really in the habit of swapping out stock pickups in my guitars. But that being said, if I was planning to use this guitar to play live shows or to record in the studio, then I might want to switch to something more along the lines of a Super Distortion. Ibanez's switching system is a little bit different, and I like how it gives you a really complete variety of usable tones. Typically, on a 3-pickup Strat style guitar, positions 1, 3, and 5 give you the 3 pickups individually, while positions 2 and 4 give you bridge and middle together, or neck and middle together. Ibanez's second and fourth position does something a little bit different in that it splits the humbuckers so that you get just the inner coil along with the middle pickup. The reason I prefer this system is that I've always found that adding the middle pickup to the full humbucker does give you a bit more of that traditional Strat sound with clean tones, but it doesn't really do anything helpful or particularly interesting when you're playing with more gain or a lot of distortion. By splitting the coil, you get more of an actual difference where the tone becomes a little glassier, a little more brittle, and when used on the right parts, it can really stand out. Last but not least is the position of the tone and volume knobs. First of all, it's just one tone and one volume, so it gets the job done while keeping things clean and simple, which I think is ideal on a guitar like this. Second, somebody made a point to move the volume knob a little further down, and I cannot tell you just how much I appreciate this design feature. It's still accessible if you want to do your volume swells or whatever, but it doesn't get in the way of your picking hand when you're shredding. So to summarize everything I just said real quick, this guitar looks phenomenal, has a slim neck that feels smooth and comfortable, a flat fretboard that allows you to play naturally and doesn't fight you, a sturdy bridge that stays in tune and lets you get crazy, a good variety of usable tones, ergonomics that make sense, and the materials, fit and finish, and quality control are all excellent. Which is especially impressive when you consider these guitars sell for $999 US brand new. Now, it doesn't come with a case or even a gig bag, but if that keeps the price down and the quality consistently high, I think that's a fair trade-off. That said, I do have Ibanez's recommended case, which is model number MR500C, and only because I bought this guitar secondhand from Facebook Marketplace, and the seller was nice enough to include the case as well. If you have any questions at all about this guitar, or if there's something that you wanted to know that I didn't mention, you can just leave it in the comments. And as always, thank you all so much for watching, and stay tuned for a lot more guitar stuff. Cheers.